G'day everybody, Slothface back with yet another bloody Hunter beta video. Now, looking on beta, we had some changes this week, so just want to take stock of the current situation with Hunter, all of my feedback that I did over the last 10 days or so on the forums, and just check what still needs to be done and what doesn't need to be done. For how much of it they've addressed, because they've addressed a significant amount of things that were almost directly from my feedback, which is pretty exciting. But not of, I doubt it was taken from me, but it just happened to be things that were part of my feedback. So going through my feedback, I will put it on this side of the screen, and we will go through it about the class tree, which hopefully you guys can see. Yep, looks like I've done that sorted. So this is the class tree. This is what I said. Concussive shot and the scout's instinct had some pathing issues. That's been fixed by these vertical lines here, so we're good. Now, I had a big thing about Devil Sword Trank not being a good enough counter, not being strong enough versus the, and we'll just show what it is, versus the Raging Affix. Well, Raging Affix is dead, so that's not really good feedback anymore. So it's now a super niche talent taken against mobs that specifically enrage quite often. And now it would only be used versus things that enrage often, and maybe that's fine. Like, it's not a particularly strong talent, but all of this feedback is pretty invalid, which is good. So all of this addressed so far, not necessarily addressed by changing this talent, but addressed by changing the design of the game to require something better than that talent. I've still said I'd prefer better utility with misdirection with BM hunters to redirect the pets threat, but probably not going to happen. Not a big deal. Lone survivor is able. What I'm thinking now is that we need to make our feedback quite realistic for the time frame that we have left in beta, right? So redesigning entire talents and things like that is a bit pie in the sky to ask Blizzard for when you've got 2 months left, right? This is their second run already at Hunter. There's probably only going to be a third, maybe a fourth if we're lucky, to shore things up with Hunter. So small issues like Lone Survivor is able to be got without Survival of the Fittest. Lone Survivor has a secondary effect with its counter shot thing. It's not a big problem. We're just going to move on from things like that because that is not something that I think is particularly relevant, considering the amount of time we have left for the beta. So don't really care about this. Don't really care about this. The binding shot issue is still fairly relevant in my mind. I find it to be a very unsatisfying button to push as a 3-second stun or as a 2-talent 4-second stun. It's pretty unexciting. Now probably the best thing you're going to want from it is to stop things from getting to you. So it's really good versus charging mobs that charge you and things like that. It's okay, but I think that there's better things to do with it. Binding shot, or the feedback I gave on binding shot here and here on tar-coated bindings, I think is still relevant. So that is something I'm going to repeat in another forum post. Territorial instincts got redesigned. They took away the triple unit stun from it. They gave it a little bit of cooldown reduction. 5 seconds is a bit, yeah, it's whatever. Um, and now it summons a pet if you don't have one out. I don't know. I think that could be like not an extra talent. It could be baked into the ability, but um, it's fine. It's not great, but it's fine. It probably won't be a talent that we take. So yeah, it's underwhelming, but it's not now a design problem. Kindling fire, again, it's underwhelming, but it is not a design problem. It's just something that I'll never ever take. Um, the reason I brought all these up was because we were discussing an AoE stop option. Here we go. I've suggested 3 different options that could give Hunter an AoE stop. That was through Kindling Fire, Territorial Instincts, or Tar-Coated Bindings. 1, 2, 3 options. And then I even said there's a 4th option to give a talent that makes high explosive track knock up instead of away, much like the Shaman talent for Thunderstorm. That is now 4 options of an AoE stop. We would like one of them. Well, they gave us this Implosive Trap, which is exactly that 4th suggestion that I put there. I'm sure they had this thought of before I suggested it, but one of my 4 things got implemented. So I am happy to see this, obviously. And it also removes the necessary feedback for these other 3 talents, although I still find them to be pretty underwhelming low power talents that I would never take. Um, there is going to be some of those, and I don't think we need to keep reiterating that on the forums time and time again with only a couple of weeks to go for Hunter changes to even be implemented at all before the release of the expansion. We have to focus our feedback into the specific things we want changed. And the only one of these where that applies right now of all my suggestions so far is a binding shot rethink. Everything else is pretty good. Moment of opportunity does not need the 1 minute internal cooldown. I still agree with that. Ghillie suits use cases are pretty. I still agree with this feedback that I wrote here. There might be times where you're able to like disengage away, feign death, push, camouflage, like right before some big AOE goes off, and then gain 3 seconds of a DR. That might be possible, but it's pretty underwhelming talent again. And then this piece of feedback I suggest is that there's a lot of talents that are more useful in PvP than PvE, and I would hate to be a PvP hunter and try to get a great build out of this. It's pretty difficult. The recent changes we had of Blackrock munitions being added, of these swaps around with scatter shot, bursting shot got moved, quick load got moved, scrappy got moved, kindling fire got moved, the Scare Beast and Scout's Instinct got moved. These were all minor improvements to the tree, so I'm perfectly happy with those. The major one of Death Chakram getting removed. I personally am a big fan of that. Death Chakram was a really underwhelming ability. It was not very hunter themed. I think that was my main issue with it. It was a fine button to just push every 45 seconds and throw away, but it didn't feel like a hunter ability. That's gone. I'm fine with that. And then this being the replacement for that I can get high explosive trap or implosive trap is awesome. And the CC capabilities of Hunter have gone up a lot in this tree in general. Plus our access to explosive shot for every single spec all the time being an iconic ability for survival, and then having use cases now in BM and things like that. Big fan. Okay, I really love everything. I have minor gripes, and the only thing left in my class feedback are the minor gripes, which I will reiterate on the forums later. But yeah, this is a big fan of the changes they did this week for the class tree. Let's move on to the BM tree, which is in this post here. I'll shrink that down. Well, maybe not that much. Oh, what have I done? I've lost it. Where have I put it? I'm a fool, I'm a fool, I'm a fool. It's gone, it's gone, it's gone, it's gone. I shrunk it down too much. Is this it? This my post? No. Further down. Wait, I've got the link on my other page. Let's close this. Apologies for this delay. Let's find this one here. Right here. Okay. So last week I've compiled notes. Here we go. The special attack, basic attack thing, as I said, we're getting to the point where we don't care about that anymore. Improved kill command is a boring 5% talent. That is still the case, even though it's moved. I still don't think that this is necessary at all. There's loads of other talents I can think of to put in this place. So that still stands. Kindred Spirits is not enough bang for a buck. That is still the case. This is super underwhelming. And luckily it's right next to this, so we can try and avoid this area completely, but that is still the case. This is probably my main piece of feedback. There is never a situation that I would want to push multi-shot and not have it activate Beast Cleave. Therefore, this should just be one talent point. And I say here, as I did in my MM feedback, as should multi-shot and trick shots for MM. This is one of the most popular things to talk about. I'm obviously not wearing a ranged weapon right now in the BM community. I totally agree with it. There's not a situation where I'd be like, oh, in this build, I'm gonna take this stuff and I want to be able to multi-shot, but I don't want to be able to, you know, Beast Cleave. I'll skip over Beast Cleave this time and I'll do a different build. Like, no, you wouldn't. You would never ever do this. So why are they two different talents? It just makes no sense that Beast Cleave is a separate talent to that. It just, yeah, I'm not a fan of that. Then I've got this whole Serpent Sting application piece of feedback, which is to do with multiple talents. It's to do with Venom's Bite, Hunter's Prey, Explosive Venom, and I would like to see basically Venom's Bite redesigned and put on the other side of the tree. I think that would be the simplest. As I say, if we want a Serpent Sting application talent, which I really do, I also want a Hunter's Prey type of talent, so that doesn't need to change. It's just that Hunter's Prey makes Venom's Bite appealing because of the kill shot thing, but I would like to remove kill shot from Venom's Bite and say Cobra Shot critical strikes apply Serpent Sting. And I'd also like it to then be on the other side of the tree near Cobra Shot. I think that Serpent Sting and Cobra Shot should be linked. So that's one piece of feedback from my Serpent Sting applications. And then the other one is Explosive Venom. I think that piece of feedback that I give here on Explosive Venom still stands as well. Hunter's Prey is absolutely fine as it is. I think that a much more appealing talent to increase its usefulness is this Cull the Herd. That is a more interesting version of a let's make Killshot good talent than Venom's Bite is. So all of that Killshot Serpent Sting feedback I think is still valid. And then this piece of feedback talking about the mechanic of every X cast of Y spell does Z thing still stands. It is applied here in Explosive Venom. It's applied here in Murder of Crows. And it's applied here in Huntmaster's Call. all of those three have the same mechanic where I'm basically counting casts of something before something else happens. It's quite an unfun gameplay aspect where I either completely ignore it or I have to track it so that I can optimally use it. Um, so that's pretty unfun. Every 3 dire beasts, every 5 multi-shots, every 5 kill commands, I'm counting all these things to make sure I know what I'm going to murder of crows. I know what I'm going to serpent sting, or when I'm going to serpent sting, I should say. I know when Huntmaster's Call, because I don't want to be doing this on creatures that are on 1% HP, right? And so I'm going to have to track this, and the only reason I want to track it is so that I know when to not use it. Not rather when to use it and plan optimal use. It's make sure that I can hold these buttons so that I don't get suboptimal use. And that's pretty unfun. So I'd like to see that changed. I'd like to see this changed, and I'd like to see this changed as well. So that's really the only other piece of reasonable beast mastery feedback I still have, is mostly the issues with those 3 talents. These these 2 underwhelming talents that don't need to be there, and also the Serpent Sting application in the tree being linked to Cobra Shot rather than being linked to Kill Shot. Makes more sense for me. So those 3 points are my BM feedback that still stands. Everything else was pretty much taken care of. So that is good. Let's quickly go to Marksman and have a quick review on the feedback I gave there and what makes sense for a marksman tree. Now, playing marksman, I've discovered some new problems which I'm going to bring up in my feedback. And basically, I'm going to put the thoughts from this video into a forum post and put that on the forums hopefully today. So that's my plan there. Just quickly show you what's been happening on beta. This is the current state of beta, where people are using this talent to make walls everywhere. And it is really irritating. You can't get to any of the NPCs that you want to get to learn things. It is very frustrating to be on beta right now. So if you didn't buy beta, I totally understand why. Okay, marksman. Okay, there's some pathing issues having to go through. Okay, what I talk about here is a big essay about how many AoE talents are in the tree. And they've basically said that the whole point of a marksmanship hunter is that it does AoE burst. And so having super optimal pathing for a single target build, and then having not losing a lot of that single target damage to gain AoE, it doesn't seem like they're particularly concerned about that. And in my essay, I go over the fact that we optimally changing from AoE to single target build is moving upwards of 12 talent, possibly 12 talents. I mean, I'm sure that optimally it won't be 12, but it's possible to do 12 or 13 talents to change from one build into other builds. They seem like they're fine with that. So that piece of feedback, it still stands from my opinion, but it's not something I expect to be addressed during this beta cycle. So we need to focus on things that can be addressed during this beta cycle reasonably. One of those is this issue about multi-shot and trick shots. I think that there is never, ever, ever a time, just like I spoke about in BM, where I'm going to want a multi-shot and not activate trick shots. And there's 2 times where this is a problem. Number one is if I take the talent multi-shot and then don't take trick shots, which is possible. I don't see why that would be a thing. And then, so this should just be one talent, is what I'm saying. Just like I said with multi-shot and beast cleave, well, multi-shot and trick shots should be the same. A lot of people's opinion is that multi-shot should go baseline and then just have trick shots as the talent point, and same thing on BM, multi-shot be baseline and have beast cleave be the talent point. That seems like a simple solution to me. I'm sure there are, other solutions, but again, I'm looking for the solutions that are most practical for this beta cycle. So that's this here. I would still like to see Salvo and Small Game Hunter flipped and some pathing things taken so that I can more easily get some of the playstyles, things like volley and salvo. I would like to get volley and salvo more easily. Wailing arrow, my opinion of is that it's a bit lame, and I think it's weird to be a sentinel marks hunter casting wailing arrow. Like, why isn't wailing arrow part of Dark Ranger? It just feels like it should be part of Dark Ranger, not part of the base kit. I don't know, it seems odd. Rapid fire barrage, the targeting is still a bit weird to use for me. We've talked about trick shots. And now the other thing about trick shots, so there's the talent issue about having to get 2 talents to get trick shots. I will never want to press multi-shot and not get trick shots. There's another reason I'll press multi-shot and not get trick shots, which is it has to hit 3 or more targets to give me the trick shot buff. I think that stipulation needs to disappear. I want to get trick shots when I push multi-shot, whether I hit 2 targets or 3 targets or more or just 1 target. If I want to multi-shot my single target before I turn around to the ads spawning in a group behind me and then immediately cleave them, please allow me to play like that. I think that hitting the boss and then turning around to the ads, and not only can I not turn around and multi-shot straight away to get trick shots, I have to turn around, I might multi-shot and they might not be close together enough yet. So I've invested all of that focus and the GCD and not been rewarded with trick shots. So then I have to multi-shot again. And it's extremely frustrating to be like, oh no, your next, like, when multi-shot hits 3 or more targets, well, fires several missiles hitting your current targets and all enemies within 10 yards. So if one of those enemies was within 10 yards of my target and the other one was only 11 yards within my target, I don't get trick shots buff. It's just insanely frustrating. Or I might have been targeting the ad that's off to the right and not the ad in the center of the group. Like, it is insanely frustrating to ever push multi-shot and not get the trick shots buff. So that needs to be changed as well, in my opinion. That is the other things that I think is practical are I want some better pathing to salvo, better pathing to volley. I want fan the hammer and careful aim to be switched. It doesn't. These are all rapid fire stuff, and then this is also to do with rapid fire. I feel like the rapid fire buff should be on top of this, and careful aim off to the side. But that's just me. It's only a small gripe that I've got. My other small gripe is that I think that barrage should grant the trick shots buff. I think that would be a really good option. In the BM tree, barrage grants beast cleave. In the MM tree, barrage should grant 1 stack of trick shots. Then we could end up with a build that would be really cool. That would be like a barrage build with volley and with salvo as well. Let's say we do this, and we say we do this and this, right? And now I've got like no multi-shot cleave build where I can trick shots through a barrage, I can trick shots through a volley, and I've got a salvo, and I don't necessarily need these talents. I think with barrage not giving trick shots, it doesn't really work, this kind of build. So I'd like to see that enabled, and that would be enabled by barrage granting trick shots, just like BM grants Beast Cleave. Other than that, that's pretty much it. So that is part of the feedback I'll be giving on the MM tree. I think the MM tree probably needs the most work out of all the 100 trees. So that'll be my feedback for that one. And now let's quickly go through the survival stuff. Now the survival stuff is probably the most interesting because of all the recent changes and talk about it. The big deal thing is that almost all of my feedback was taken on and used. Not from me, but it's just that I had the same feedback as obviously they thought as well. So great. So they changed. They didn't change this angle, which I would have liked to see, but that's not a big deal. I'm going to ignore that now. What they did change was the quick shot proc rate was changed. It now is when you cast kill command instead of when kill command resets, because the proc chance was insanely low, and that obviously buffed sulfur line pockets because of it, which is awesome change. My complaint about coordinated assault being a unrewarding, janky design obviously was completely changed because they changed it back to the 20% buff that it used to be back in the day. So that is awesome as well. And they buffed the charge damage it did, which is cool. And they removed... one of my complaints was that it felt too similar to pressing Spearhead. You both charged, which was a bit underwhelming. So I asked for the charge to be removed from Coordinated Assault. It was instead removed from Spearhead, so fair enough. But yeah, that all got done. Sikkim, I said, had problems because there was no Death Blows effect in the SV tree. It got changed to a Death Blows effect, so that is perfect. Love that change, really, really good. And then I said Sentinel is OP, etc, etc, etc. Sometimes kill shot of explosive shot won't cast because I'm too close to the mobs. That's just a bug, that's already fixed. I'd like to see the return of Birds of Prey. That is the talent that allowed you to kill shot multiple targets, and they had this strike up to 2 additional targets. So pretty much like everything was done. They basically just copied my feedback and put it into the game, which is huge. The only gripes I have is that they oversimplified the playstyle by changing Mongoose Fury windows, by changing Flanking Strike, and by changing Coordinated Assault. All 3 of those changed at the same time, which oversimplified, and they've already said that they're going to revert Flanking Strike back to an active button to push. I look forward to that. I hope it's the Spender version that we had in last week's build. That was really fun. Mongoose Fury windows, they're reverting back to the old style Mongoose window that we had, that we've had forever, and they're getting rid of this playstyle that you see on screen, which is like a Beast Mastery Frenzy window. That they're getting rid of the maintenance buff and they're putting it back to a window, not a maintenance buff. So all of that was done. I'm super happy with that, obviously, because it's like all of my feedback was taken on. I think that survival is going to be awesome. I don't really have any other feedback of what I would change with this tree right now, specifically. I'm sure there are like playthrough things and damage profile things and all sorts of other stuff, but the base tree I am really happy with. I don't think that there is an issue that I need to provide more feedback on survival other than the things they've already said they're going to do. I said it was a big L to make Flanking Strike a passive. It also had the blooming thing that I hate from the BM tree, which is the every third, every fourth cast of X gives you Y and does Z, right? Like, I hate it. I hate that. But they've gone back on that now. So that is all sorted. So I'll be putting all this feedback into a post for the forums about those 4 trees. I have not discussed any of the hero talent trees yet, except for pack leader on this channel. The reason for that is they're all terrible. They're all kind of bad. Like everyone's like Sentinel's awesome. Sentinel's big numbers, but it's not awesome. There's nothing awesome about playing this. You don't feel awesome. You don't feel awesome playing this. You definitely don't feel awesome playing Dark Ranger. I think Dark Ranger is like the worst one. They're super crap. I have done a video about Pack Leader and how to fix it. It is on. It is the last video I did. Go check that out. I will be reviewing the hero talents when they make some changes to them, because in their current state they're not even worth discussing because they're so boring. I have no suggestions to fix them, and the problems are everything. It's super boring. Go check out my pack leader video. This is my feedback on the current state of Hunter on the beta. And one last hot take that I've got for you is that Rexxar is not a survival hunter. I'm putting it out there. Give me your hate in the comments for that one, but he is a beast mastery hunter. I don't know why he's the survival poster boy, because to me, he is an OG BM hunter. Don't at me. Okay, GG's. Thanks for watching. Bye.